on its original course while the other veers at a 90-degree angle.
Yep.
That was a great job, Crystal, and there were a lot of big words there, honey.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fact number 5. Mirrors can cause hallucinations. A creepy fact about mirrors is that research has found that mirrors can cause hallucinations. Now being researched, many people have declared that if you sit in a darkened room and about 3 feet away from a mirror and stare at your reflection for about 10 minutes, you could start hallucinating. This is caused from the small distortions developing within your reflection. Other people have declared seeing other human faces appear as well as animal faces.
You know what's really cool about that fact? Keep it in mind because I think we might talk about it later on in the podcast.
Okay.
I was reading the notes.
Oh, cool. So, is that everything?
Yes, that is. That is the 5th fact.
That was some great facts, Crystal, and I consider myself well taught from my child.
I'm so proud of you.
Not every child teaches their parent.
They should.
So,
At least some things.
let's get into it. What is a doppelganger? Well, the word is German. It literally means double walker. Doppelganger has, through the years, come to mean just a biologically unrelated lookalike. Or a double of a living person. And as a guy who's done comedy in 48 of the 50 states, I can say that in many states, exact copies of my friends seem to exist. Like there is a Montana version of Dan Bugby, a.k.a. Dan Fierce, who will join us in a future episode. He also was in the episode about dolls. He has a double in Alexandria, Virginia, that is an attorney.
Wow.
And then he has a double in Montana that is a souse. Like, the guy gets majorly hammered. And the funny part about that is he moves exactly the same as Dan when Dan's drunk.
I see.
And I know this because years ago, Dan, before he was out, was getting married to a woman, and I took him out for his bachelor party, got him hammered, and watched him do the bus stop, which is a group dance. But he was doing it perfectly, just half a step out of sync with everybody else. So it looked bad.
I see.
So,
is that for reasons not explainable, or?
No, he was drunk as a skunk, like I said.
Drunk as a skunk.
Yeah.
Dad is a perfectly good bad influence, just like Aunt Carla. It's okay.
Oh! Trouble. Trouble number 1 and trouble number 2. What to name one of them, what to name the other.
So that's what doppelganger means. But it's not really what we're talking about, because I don't think Kristen wanted to talk about people that look like other people, because...
No, I'm talking about the same person.
So... And as I said, that word doppelganger is really... It's grown to mean just anybody not related to you that looks like you. Like, people will say that Nick Cage has a doppelganger that lived during the Civil War, because there's this very famous picture of a guy that looks almost exactly like Nick Cage from about that time period.
I mean, I've had someone who looked like me, but they're not my doppelganger. And I'm not going to go mentioning their name because let's just say they were rude to me. If you're listening, hi, hello, how does it feel to know that I'm better than you now?
Okay.
But it's a really old concept. In ancient Egypt, a ka was a tangible spirit double. Ka, the soul. It kind of the soul, but they believed that it was an exact copy of your body.
See.
And it had the same memories and the same feelings, and it ran around the afterlife, and it existed as long as your body did. So that's why the mummies were preserved, was to give the ka a home and let it last for as long as possible. If the body got destroyed, the ka would eventually expire because it had no place to go. So that's what which sort of makes unwrapping parties a very bad deal, because chances are the person's ka is watching as you destroy. Well, what are you? Why? That's my home. It's like if you come home and there's a group of people tearing apart your house while other people watch and applaud.
Yeah, that's...
Like, what the? I lived for you guys for 10 minutes and you destroy the oven and drink like you're farting skunks. What's wrong with you?
Oh, goodness gracious.
I just went to the store to get some pizza.
Oh, dear.
So that is what so doppelganger is sometimes a spiritual, sometimes a physical double that you encounter that seems to have a purpose other than looking like you. For example, let's take John Donne. Now, John Donne was an English metaphysical poet. He was kind of famous during his day, which was in the 1600s. He saw his wife's doppelganger in 1612 in Paris on the same night as the stillbirth of their daughter. This account first appears in the edition of Life of Dr. Rizvan Rising, published in 1675, and is attributed to a person of honor told with such circumstances and such asseveration that I very believe that he told it to me, did himself believe it to be true. 2 days after their arrival there, Mr. Donne was left alone in that room in which Sir Robert and he and some other friends had dinner together. To this place Sir Robert returned within half an hour, and as he left, so found Mr. Donne alone, but in such ecstasy and so altered as to his looks as amazed Sir Robert to behold him, insomuch that he earnestly desired Mr. Donne to declare befallen him in the short time of his absence. To which Mr. Donne was not able to make a present answer, but after a long and perplexing pause did at last say, I have seen a dreadful vision since I saw you. I have seen my dear wife pass twice by me through this room with her hair hanging about her shoulders and a dead child in her arms. This I have seen since I saw you. To which Sir Robert replied, Sure, sir, you have slept since I saw you, and this is the result of some melancholy dream, which I desire you to forget, for you are now awake. To which Mr. Donne's reply was, I cannot be sure that I now live than that I have not slept since I saw you, and I am sure that her second appearing she stopped, looked me in the face, and vanished.
No way,
So, that's John Donne's experience. Okay, no. There's no, but in this, you have a thing to say, you say it.
I'm not necessarily sure. Okay, so I'm not necessarily sure that I feel like that's a doppelganger situation as much as I feel like that might be like a family connection. Like, so if you have a kind of strength of spiritual bond, and you are in that kind of grief and that kind of mourning at that time, I almost feel like instead of it being a doppelganger situation, it's almost an astral projection of her in her time of grief needing to be near her spouse.
And I can see your point. And that does seem to be part of some of the doppelganger phenomena.
Gotcha.
My grandmother, or my grandfather, I should say, was in World War II. And I might have told this story before,
but that's okay. It's a good story.
I'm going to tell it again.
Yep.
Just your memories by playing multiple times.
But my grandfather had been out on patrol all day. He was stationed in, I want to say France. I don't know exactly. But it was World War II. And he'd been out most of the day. He comes back. He just wants to go into his tent and lie down and go to sleep. He's tired. And so he goes and he lays down. And he has a dream that Grandma is fussing at him. Get up and wash your face. Go wash your face. Get up. And he's like, I don't want to wash my face. I just want to sleep. Finally, he wakes up and he's upset. He's angry. And he's like, fine, I'm going to wash my face. So he goes out to this little creek and he starts to wash his face. Well, no sooner has he got there and put his hands in the water than his tent explodes. It was hit with a shell. Like it would, and if he had been in there, he would have been dead.
Mm-hmm. Just like.
And that is a similar kind of situation,
right.
But that happened while he was asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think we might be dealing with psychic projection there, but that does seem to be part of the doppelganger phenomenon. Although I kind of tend to agree that when you're seeing doppelgangers of other people, it's not quite as on point as when you're seeing one of you.
Like you, yeah.
So,
rumor has it as
or
of a parent
apart from somebody. So, I mean, you're going to go into some more stuff that illustrates it better, but it seems like more of a doppelganger situation when you see someone and then immediately see them somewhere else at the same time or quicker than they could be at that place from where you last saw them, kind of thing. Reading like the situation with the teacher.
Right. So let's take a moment for our sponsors to kick in, and let's deal with that for a minute, and then when we come back, we'll talk about Percy Bysshe Shelley.
Ooh.
He's an English poet. He actually was very into weirdness. He'd be very into our podcast if he were alive today. So, take a minute for a word from our sponsors. Okay. So, let's talk about Shelley. On July 8th, 1822, he drowned in the Bay of Spezia near Larisi in Italy. On August 15th, while staying at Pisa, Percy's wife Mary, an author and an editor, actually the lady wrote Frankenstein, wrote a letter to Maria Gisborne in which she relayed Percy's claims to her that he had met his own doppelganger. A week after Mary's nearly fatal miscarriage, in the early hours of June 23rd, Percy had had a nightmare about the house collapsing in a flood, and in the following morning, he told her that he had seen a figure of himself, which met him as he walked on the terrace and said to him, "How long do you mean to be content?" No very terrific words, and certainly not prophetic of what has occurred, but Shelley had often seen these figures when ill, but the strangest thing is that when Mrs. Williams saw him, Now Jane, though a woman of sensibility, was not much on imagination and is not